Welcome to An Accidental Vagabond, where we explore the mosaic of our unexpected journeys. This is the U.S.A. Road Trippers series, and this is the final installment for the series, Day 15, Maine. If you're interested in seeing any of the other videos, check the links in the description below. Like, subscribe, and comment for more content! Well, this is it. It's the final day, Day 15.
Woo!
Maine, the Pine Tree State. Capital, Augusta. The highest point is Mount Katahdin at 5,268 feet or 1,605 meters. And the largest city, Portland. Well, this is it, folks. The final installment of the Road Trippers Journey 2023, Oregon to Maine with a detour in California. It took us 15 days to cross the country, and of course, if you went balls to the wall, you can do it in half the time. But even at 15 days, we missed a lot, and it really isn't enough time to see all that you can see. America is a gigantic country, and there's so much within each state, within each city of each state, within each county, each township. You could take months to cross just the northern part of the United States if you wanted to see as much as you could see. But we didn't have months, we only had 15 days. And of course, this is an accidental vagabond where nothing is really a vacation and it's just fitting in travel time as a part of life. You do what you can do, you see what you can see, you make the most of what you've got. We started our journey in southeastern Maine. If you had watched the previous video, you would know that originally we had intended on camping in Vermont, but changed our plans and instead decided to just rush through Vermont and New Hampshire and land in Maine, right near the border of New Hampshire. And that is where we started for today, because today we needed to make it to East Machias, because that is where we're going to be living, and my husband will start his next job, or his new job, on the following day. So we started in a place called Casco. I keep wanting to call it Costco, but it's Casco, and it's located near a place called Naples. And yes, I believe that Naples is intended to give you the feeling and the idea of the Italian Naples. This area has many lakes, and like a lakeside European city, Naples and Casco tries to have that European village feel, especially during the summer months. Unfortunately, we didn't get to experience that, but we did get to see what other people get to experience. From Casco, we got on to 26, which eventually turned to 100 toward Portland. In Portland, we stopped for a coffee and something to eat. We didn't get a chance to look around because we needed, as I had mentioned, to get to East Machias. So from Portland, we loaded up our coffee and our snacks, and we got back into the car and drove on to Interstate 295. Then that led us to Coastal Highway 1. Nice. Maybe they're like historical houses. I think it's really interesting the way some of these houses are built together. Like they attach all. It looks like they attach all these separate rooms. I really wish I could have kept more of our dialogue from the actual road trip, just to get the true feel of the experience of what and how we reacted when we first came through certain areas. But we were playing music on our in the car, on the radio, not the radio, but we had our own Spotify music. And as you know, you cannot use any music unless you want to just pay out the ass for it, which these videos are just so cheaply made on an old computer and an old dying phone. I mean, it's amazing that I put this together at all. I've got like 3 viewers probably, and I know nobody even makes it as far as this point where I'm talking, but if you knew what I was working with, there's no way that I could pay the money for the music that is playing underneath the conversations that we have, which is a shame because it would be nice to just have that natural reaction, but you do what you can. We drove on Highway 1 until we reached a coastal town, very quaint and cute coastal town called Rockland, and it's there we stopped for a moment to get some lobster rolls, because when you're in Maine, you've got to have some lobster, and they are not cheap though. It was $25 for each lobster roll, so $50 for a lobster roll, which just sounds crazy, but you know, we wanted to try it, so we tried it. We took Highway 17 to go to the place where we got the lobster rolls, and then when we were leaving, we got back onto 17, and that eventually led us to an old country road, which is called Old Country Road, and we drove on that until we hit Highway 1 again. Maine has a lot of famous coastal towns, and Rockland is one, but Camden is really well known, and we just drove through it, but oh, I wish that we could have stopped. In this little clip that you hear us talking about, we talk about how we're going to take an excursion here during our year that we stay in East Machias. Except for we still live like 2 hours away.
That's going to be outing.
An outing. I love architecture, I love the old buildings, I love the old houses, and you're gonna see in these videos, or you probably noticed in videos, I just film tons and tons of houses. It's just because I love them so much, and these East Coast houses are beautiful. Wow,
Right,
that looks like a dollhouse, that one. As I look at these beautiful houses, I can't help but wonder, what is it like to be inside one, to live in one? I can't, look at that castle. I can't even begin to imagine what it would be like to live in one of those kind of houses. Sometimes when I can, I like to leave the sound of the car, I guess to try to give it that natural feel, like you're there with us. Highway 1 runs along Maine's coast, which if I remember correctly, Maine has the longest coastline out of all of the coastlines of the United States. You might wonder why. I mean, California looks like it would have the longest coastline, but Maine has all of these peninsulas, especially once you start to get up into the northern part of Maine, and they just jut out like fingers reaching out into the ocean. So you think that you're making a straight shot up northeast, but you're not. You're weaving in and out of all of these peninsulas. That's if you take Highway 1. And Highway 1, the whole point is to take you to great towns like Belfast and Rockland and Bar Harbor. And oh, I've got to mention, there's so many islands off the coast of Maine It reminds me of South Korea, actually, with the multiple number of islands. But if you want to go to a place like Bar Harbor, you're actually going to an island. And sometimes you have to drive onto an island to get to another island. So it's a much longer drive than you would expect.
Trees of green. I see them.
So somewhere around a town called East Orland, Highway 1 turns into 3, and then eventually it turns back into 1. So we have been staying on Highway 1 this whole time, Maine's coastal highway, but there are sometimes the street names will change, and probably having to do with taking a junction into another part of Maine, because we are sticking to the east. And we took Highway 1 into a town called Ellsworth. It's not really a town. Oh, here's the Penobscot Narrows Bridge, and it's going to cross over the Penobscot River. Penobscot is also the name of one of the tribes that live in Maine, of the Wabanaki tribes. I believe there are 4, but the Micmac tribe lives up in Canada. But the tribes that have reservations in Maine are the Penobscot, the Passamaquoddy. Oh, there's the Micmac. Oh no, there's another one. I'm gonna have to come back in later in a comment and make a correction. But so many of the names of the towns and the rivers and the mountains in Maine are named after the original people who were originally there, the Wabanaki people. As I mentioned, we drove Highway 1 into a city called Ellsworth. Ellsworth is a small city or a big town. It all depends on how you look at it. And Ellsworth is also the last quote-unquote city before we get to East Machias, which is not a city. In fact, nothing from here on out is a city. It's all very tiny villages, small towns, and townships. The definition or the dividing line has changed over the years, but word from a local, starting above Bar Harbor, we get into an area that is called Downeast. So we will be living in Downeast Maine, and Bar Harbor and Acadia National Park or National Forest is considered on a map part of Downeast, but generally if you look at a map it'll say Downeast and Acadia. But the Downeast area is very different from the Bar Harbor area. Like I said, it's much smaller villages, townships, not as much tourism as a place like Bar Harbor. Also, it's a big lobster fishing area, lots of fishing families, and a lot of American flags. I don't think I've ever seen as many American flags as I have seen in Maine. I don't know, New York kind of gives Maine a run for the money. It must be something about being New England states. I mean, after all, these are the first colonies, and perhaps since they were a part of the Revolutionary War. In fact, there was a battle, the first naval battle of the Revolutionary War took place in East Machias, and apparently they reenact that every year on the anniversary. So I imagine that people who are born and raised here Some of them are probably family members of people who actually fought in the Revolutionary War. So that's the American pride that they have and that is shown in all of the flags. But again, it's kind of surprising to me because I've never seen as many flags as I've seen in Maine. Once we passed through Ellsworth, we went on to 182, and we drove on 182 that led us through a small town called Cherryfield, which the pictures had already shown. And then at some point, 182 led us back to Highway 1. We stayed on Highway 1 all the way to Machias and then East Machias, where we finally turned onto Cutler Road, and then to the school, Washington Academy, where we are set to live for at least a year. So here's where I'm going to start saying my goodbyes to you. And I'm going to allow some of the dialogue from the actual road trip. At this point, we just entered Machias, and I want to retain our first thoughts. I want to thank you all. I know there are not many viewers, maybe one or two, but thank you for watching. I'm glad this part exists because when we were driving through that other part, I was like, yeah, 10 months. As you can tell by what I had just said while in the car, I was a little bit nervous about the move. After all, it's a really big change going to somewhere that we don't know anything about. As bad or unprofessional or lack of quality that these videos have, or seem like they are, I do put a lot of time into them. It may be that I'm just not good at entertainment and I have very good tools to work with. It's not me, it's them as in the tools. I don't know. But even so, I tried to make them worthy for someone to watch. Myself, I guess, or maybe my husband, or whoever watches them. I do think they will fade into the internet if they haven't already, and most likely be lost. So if you happen to catch it or got into your algorithm and you're not bored and you made it to the end, thanks for coming along. They were challenging videos to make, and I wish they could have been better, but I'm glad I made them. Already at the time of posting these, life has changed a lot. So for the last 5.5 minutes of this video, it's just going to be dialogue from the car, from the actual road trip, as we discover the parts of East Machias and Washington Academy. So I'm gonna say goodbye to you now. Thank you. This is Accidental Vagabond. Please come back, like, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully in the future I can make more better quality videos and have some purposeful travel, not just some accidental travel. Thanks again. Bye. And enjoy the commentary as if you were there with us. Ciao, travelers. May your unexpected journeys be a mosaic of beauty.
She said down the road.
Oh, from the school?
Yeah.
Ocean blue, I came home for you. Cut my hair in the dress that you wear. Don't you leave, now it's my time to go. I'll be waiting while you're not alone. You know me, I won't be surprised if
Oh, is this it? Washington Academy.
Boys dormitory. So this is it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is it. It's like a village. The town, like
Yeah.
the school.
Look at this
Oh.
church.
Wow. Okay, this is not what I was expecting. What are these? What are these? Like, are these classrooms? School? What is it? dormitory is far. So here's the first hallway. So down here is one side, the boys' dorm. There's no kids here yet, so. Laundry room. So I already did a bunch of laundry. This dryer sucks. On this side of the hall, they're gonna have the girls over here because they didn't have enough students. This is the common room. It's pretty high ceiling. Oh, there are people coming. I didn't want to be caught filming. This exit that's right by our door, which would be perfect for letting Penny out. But it has an alarm system set on it, obviously to stop kids from breaking out, sneaking out at night. So we still have to walk her down the hall. There's the other door. Okay. And Penny. So this is the living room space. It's pretty big, or I guess like the front room space. And to the bathroom, which is a decent size. Bathtub, we got a closet with some shelving. And then the master bedroom, which is big. You know, I mean, it's everything is so much bigger than our Itaewon place. And then we have another bedroom which is smaller, and this bedroom we're gonna take have them take the bed out and then just kind of turn it into like a workspace or a yoga room or something like that. So yeah, there's no windows except for these two windows, but it does get decent light and there is a breeze, so that part's nice. And this is the view from outside our window. Right, you can't see it very well. And beyond the garbage cans is the football field for both footballs, the European and American football. Yeah.